How are you? Today's topic is let's talk about change. What if I told you that every change in your life, even the hardest, most stressful one, has a hidden opportunity? If we knew where to look, we can handle it and we can overcome it, come out stronger. Today, I'm inviting you to come with me and take a fresh look at change. Now, I could talk about this subject in so many different ways because how we handle change can shape our lives, our relationships, and our future. How much change have you had to face lately? How much it was really stressful for you? Okay, financial challenges. After my second divorce, I'm willing to share all this. It's pretty well known amongst my friends, so I'll let you know. Because of the military, you had an income. I didn't even think about money. I had enough to eat, and we were always working hard, so wasn't a lot of opportunity to spend it. Invested a tiny bit. Not too well. Usually it was buy high and sell low. Not a great strategy. At the end of my second marriage, I had a negative net worth. Talk about shameful kind of thoughts that hit me. But you know what? I was able to pick myself back up and do so much. Health problems. Here's one where I was ill after having my daughter. I actually could have died after that because something got triggered in me after having her. I was awake for 10 days straight without anyone intervening. My family was so panicked. I lost all the baby weight and I was just running around like a manic person. No depression. I was on high alert, talking fast. I learned how to control that. But the thing is, that illness was really dangerous. It happens apparently, a long story for another day, about 1 in 10,000 women after having the baby. If you're not sleeping, that can turn into a real issue. It's a very similar one that happens to POWs when they return. Other health issues, my back. Some of you may have issues such as that. I have a whole spreadsheet that I provided throughout the military. You're constantly doing stuff to your body. My back can go out in a second. In fact, it was starting to feel that way this week. I'm thinking, oh, I don't want to have to go on Motrin or sit in bed for a long time. I don't look like I have a backache because I'm not going to be giving into it. I'm going to try to work it and try to help it. Those of you who are in chronic pain, I am so sorry. Dating or relationship changes. Not a huge number, but a lot. Marriage or marital problems. Yep, this is my third marriage. We're going on 26 years. Thank you very much. And, I can't regret anything. I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't appreciate all I am today without that. As you can tell, with 3 marriages, 2 divorces, they were really, really tough. Having kids. I already told you the story after having my daughter. I became ill. She was a beautiful, healthy baby. Luckily, I had my parents who were able to care for her when I was going through getting well again. If you have family members who can help or friends, it's such a blessing. And moving. Before we came to Hawaii, I moved 31 times. Doug moved 34 times. We would not want to wish moving on anyone. I showed you a picture of the containers that had our household goods when I retired in 2010. They all went into storage. We went on the tour. We were in an RV for 18 months. Those containers were just waiting to come to when we picked our dream location, which turned out to be Hilo, Hawaii. It was pretty scary until I looked at that change a little differently. I said, unless it's perfect for this new home, it's not coming in, or it's going to be sold immediately like a sofa. As pretty as it was, if it wasn't perfect for here, not going to stay here. Now, we still have a storage unit that has a lot of work to be done, but we did pretty well. It's not in the house. Now we've lived 13 years here, so it's the longest we've lived anywhere. And as you know, papers and things just keep creeping in. That can cause stress. If you're not changing, it can be tough. Moving caused us to clean out things. Buying a house. Like I said, bought high, sold low. One I held on to long enough to help fund my daughter's college. The other stuff caused me to be negative net worth. When we bought this house, I was really good about it until I looked at the amount when we were signing on the dotted line. About had a heart attack. Studying our exam. I'll tell you what, I didn't have a problem until I tried to take the EIT exam, which they had just nationalized at West Point the year I took it. I lugged a huge bag of books. It was so embarrassing. Ever since then, on tests, I have kind of panic attacks if they're written ones. I feel for those who have those challenges with tests. I'd rather let me show you what I'm going to do as opposed to let me take it on a test and rely on my memory. A new job or job loss. Anyone who's in the military, you're changing jobs every year. It's so hard because most times you're just learning what the job is after a year. In the second year, you might be able to really understand and implement a few things, but usually it's 3 years that you want to be in at least a job to learn it. If you're taking a new job, that can cause all kind of stresses, especially if you're the leader. You could be the nicest person and you're seen as a threat to the new people who you're going to lead. There's a whole lot of ways you can look at that as an opportunity. You may not find out the challenges until you're into it for a little bit. Workplace stress is one. Retirement. Lou Tice once told me, you only have the energy for the goals you set in life. It's no surprise that people who have no goals after they retire other than to sit down and do nothing die prematurely. There's another stressful change is death of a loved one. In my case, my father passed away 2 years ago. He almost made 97. My mother came to live with us. So lots of changes for her. She says she lost her husband, she lost her home, she lost her things, her whole life. She had to move. Kind of a blessing. She has a bit of dementia. She is living day to day. Public speaking or performance. I'm getting better at not panicking before I do these lives. Public speaking or performance pressure, especially when I'm not talking in front of an individual who is giving me a nice face instead of sometimes where I always thought, oh, they hate it. And they'd come up later and say, that was great. Public speaking, you're worried about how you're going to be judged and whether you're going to perform, whether you're going to provide what they need. Regrets. Last week, I talked about 5 regrets. I put that in the notes there, so hopefully you'll take a look at that. People don't regret working harder and wanting to work harder. They wish they hadn't worked so hard, so they had a life and they spent more time on relationships, for example. But those changes can cause regrets. Any past trauma can cause problems, and even thoughts of your mortality. When you start losing friends like we're doing, you start thinking about that change in life, which is inevitable for all of us, whatever age. I mean, maybe we'll make it over 100. Will our quality of life be good? We want to make sure that we live life with a quality of life. Drop in my comments anything that may be applied to you. How many stressful things that were changes in your life? Because you're not alone. Mastering change can help us all if we handle it better. On my stress intelligence channel, you can find that's where I share the stories and tools and help you handle stress in ways that help you flip it quickly and also live up to your full potential. I have another story that I wanted to share with you, actually 2 stories that talk about how others handle change. When we were on the Duty Honor America tour where Doug cycled 18,067 miles, one time we entered a city. We came in the evening. We talked about who we were and what we were doing. He went to all 50 states, and they got so excited about meeting us that the next day they invited us to a ceremony in the morning, which we attended thinking, oh, we're just going to go to the ceremony. At that ceremony, they presented us the key to their city. How about that? How about someone listening, paying attention, thinking how they could honor us and recognize what we were trying to do? So barely a day's notice. And this was Wisconsin Rapids in Wisconsin. I'll just tell you, it was so wonderful. They were honoring other heroes in their community, but they honored us with the key to the city. Talk about inspirational and uplifting. We had such a fantastic time. Now I'm going to contrast it. I'm not going to say where it was, but in contrast, a place we lived for 7 years, and I sat on the board of this particular event for 3 of those years. I gave them 2 weeks' notice, and they wouldn't let us join their parade. I was like, well, can I just have him on his bicycle go? And it was like, nope, you didn't give us enough notice. We can adjust. Think about that. Think about the ways that people can adjust. Anyway, it stung. It was probably a really big message. This probably isn't where we want to stay because the people we live around are not like that. We live here in Hilo, Hawaii. What a great community. If it's for helping somebody, they're all in. They are all in. Most are so overcommitted, but if you want to get something done, find a busy person. When I talk about unexpected changes, unexpected plans, and different outcomes from what you expected, what made the difference? There are two tools that I have to offer you that you may have heard about before. One is pausing. When something is an unmet expectation, we just gave a talk about hidden barriers. Unmet expectations is a huge trigger of stress. When things don't happen the way you want, whether it's from your spouse or whether it's from someone at work, when that happens, just pause and breathe. Do not react. Do not react with dysfunctional, unhelpful ways. Because if you react in the heat of the emotion, you may not be able to recover. And you'll lose that opportunity that is probably staring you right in your face about something even better than what you had planned. But planners, I got to give you a warning. You have a hard time with this. I like to make plans, but when something adjusts, I find there's an opportunity there. For those of us who have faced deeply traumatic, tough, hard changes, there's an exercise that I was given by Lou Tice and with a 3x5 card. On the far left side, write all the worst things that ever happened to you. Could be a death of a loved one, could be a divorce. Then, after you're done with that and purged that out of you, up to 10 things, then go to the right-hand side. On the right-hand side, I am confident there'll be a time in your life you can say, what's the best thing that happened that never would have happened if that terrible thing hadn't happened? Okay? Some people divorce. I'm not going to call it terrible for me. I would say, okay, having a divorce. And then I have a beautiful daughter. So am I going to call it a mistake? No. I have a beautiful daughter. And so the best thing that happened was I have this amazing daughter of mine. Whenever you start drifting to that negative side, shift over. Remember the opportunity, the beauty that came out of that change. For me, I'm living the life of my dreams in a dream home with an amazing husband, for those of you know Doug, and loving life, even though it's challenging. I'm caregiving, I'm committed to way too many things, and changes can be a disruption on any particular day. I can go through many, but I choose to pause, to breathe, and to always remember what's the goodness or look for the goodness that's going to come out of that change. As you know, I love acronyms. Here's an acronym. It's change. What's the first C? Choose your perspective. How you see change shapes what you'll do next. H is honor what matters most. Your values will light your way. A is adapt with intention. Now I'm going to give you a quote here. Change what helps and don't change. Release what doesn't. Now, who said this? We tend to meet any new situation by reorganizing, and a wonderful method it can be for creating the illusion of progress while producing confusion, inefficiency, and demoralization. Who said that? In 2010 BC? Petronium, the Greek philosopher. Yeah. We know that some people want to change just for change's sake, just to make it look like they're doing something. But in fact, the way that they do it and implement it makes so many things worse. That was A, adapt with intention. N, nurture your strengths. Lean on what helps you. I talk about being mentally tough. It's the ability to get stronger and stronger, bounce back faster, be able to see those things and help others do the same. G, grow through the challenges. I'm always on a steep learning curve, and each disruption is a lesson you can learn or not. There are times where I didn't pay attention to that lesson, and oh boy, it happened again and again. So learn those lessons. If you have some repetition there, you probably didn't learn the lesson. So G is grow through those challenges. They're challenging you in order to make us better and continue to make a difference. E, energize others by your example. You don't have to wait for somebody else to give you the inspiration. Be that inspiration. You're not just changing for you, your attitude and courage uplifts others. It uplifts others. We often think change must come from the big moments. That's not true. It's how we handle those daily disruptions, whether it be our health or relationships or the choices we make when we're under pressure. We want to make sure that we are meeting those challenges. True progress comes from clarity and connection, not just shuffling the pieces around. Here's my challenge to you. Next time change throws you off balance, try that 3x5 exercise. Make sure you pause as appropriate and breathe. When you stop breathing, you're starving your brain cells of the needed oxygen to make better choices. Walk yourself through the change steps that I just shared. If this helps you, share this video with others. Invite a friend to join us. I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Stress Intelligence. And let's handle change together. It doesn't have to be something we dread. Let's all come out stronger.